eat at a time like this?
What are you talking about?
Don't mind her. Go ahead and tell everybody when to listen.
Okay, whatever. So if you're looking for some mind-blowing music, check out the Rare Groove Session. Now at a brand new time, late Friday nights or early Saturday mornings, depending on how you look at it, starting at 1 a.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 6 on Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 6 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
All right, and we are back on WHPC with your host, Ray Guarino, Joe D., Mr. Carl Anthony from Automoblog.net. Carl, how's it going? You still with us?
Still with you guys. Good to be with you in this season of pumpkin spice.
You know, I just saw a cartoon in the newspaper today that was just about that. And I'm trying to remember it, but I can't because I read two newspapers cover to cover this morning, and it was just everything was pumpkin spice. The whole damn thing was.
The world's getting taken over with that stuff.
Yeah, so that's a great idea. So, Carl, again, encapsulate for people who may be new to the show and don't know what exactly you guys at Automoblog.net do, and then tell us what's new.
Yeah, so we are a smaller automotive publication. We focus on the news that just happens in the industry. We do a section of car reviews, and then we cover the future of transportation, which would be anything related to autonomous driving or electrification, and then just the overall scope of the lifestyle of cars, the culture and lifestyle of cars. And our goal is to give as much information as possible. We want to take a deep dive into these cars, into the engines and the components, and we try to have fun, and we want to be a resource for people at the same time. So,
excellent.
Like I said, we're in that position where we're not super huge, but we're not super small. We're right in the medium. We're right middle size, good size, so we can get into the industry, and we have good connections to figure out and to find out what's going on, but then we can also maintain a good relationship with our readers too. So we're really just here to inform people as to what's going on with cars. To the second part of that, Ray and Joe, as to what was new this week, and Joe being a GM guy, you'll appreciate this. The Chevy Silverado has a new 2.7 liter turbo coming. And
I heard about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We took a deep dive into that yesterday, and so that was the latest post on our website, our latest article. But there was some confusion as to, well, wait a second, Ford has a 2.7 EcoBoost, and that's a turbo, but that's actually a V6. GM's 2.7 turbo is a 4-cylinder, so it's in a different class. So we wanted to spend some time walking readers through that, as in, okay, here's the GM engine, here's the Ford engine, they're different, and then kind of try to pick our reader's brain as to where is this 2.7 turbo going to fall in the Silverado lineup, because I like Chevy trucks as much as the next guy, but for me, a Chevy truck has always been about the 5.3 and the 6.2.
Sure.
Those are the engines.
Right.
So
yeah.
We are kind of trying to gauge our readers' opinions on, hey, where is this thing going to fall? Like, if you're in the market for a Chevy truck, are you going to go the turbo route, or are you going to go the 5.3? And keep in mind, the 5.3 and 6.2 are also newly redesigned for this year. So we kind of go through that, and then we basically break down what is going on in the 2.7. So you've got the active thermal management system. You've got a specialized cooling system for the powertrain. You've got the upgraded active fuel management, cylinder deactivation. There's a new variable valve timing system. So we dive into all that, basically to say, this turbo engine that we've heard about for a year, we're finally getting more information on it. So here's that info.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let's face it. They have to do something. They have to do something for fuel economy and emissions. You know what I mean? And a lot of pickup trucks are not really trucks anymore. They're just cars with an open back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's where they used to make like El Caminos and stuff for. But now people, I see a lot of soccer mom pickup trucks. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the shop, because you can see that these things never really hauled. Maybe like a twice-a-year trip to Home Depot, pick up some plywood or some garden supplies or something like that. But, it's not like the workday trucks that, people are throwing stuff in the back, hauling ladders, toolboxes, whatever. You know what I mean? So it makes sense to have a less stout motor for that, lighter. I mean, I see here that you mentioned that the 2.7 is 380 pounds lighter than the 4.3. You know what I mean? That's a nice chunk of weight. Engineers sell their grandmothers for a pound. So, like, as far as that goes.
I think also because most people in the country are using pickups more as just daily drivers instead of utility vehicles. It used to be you bought one if you had a farm or a construction company or whatever. Now, everybody's driving them.
Yeah.
I say bring back the mini trucks like the Loves and the Rangers and the S10s.
Yeah, that was weird how that kind of dried up.
I like that segment. Yeah.
A lot of shops I remember working for, you always had some kind of Mitsubishi or Toyota or Nissan truck. That was like the shop parts chaser.
We had
stuff
Datsuns
like that.
back at the auto electric company. I'm dating myself, but that's what we ran back then, and they were cool because you're driving your American car. I was driving a hot rod, and you get in that truck and say, okay, it felt. The door sounded like a tin can, and the seats weren't as thick, and everything was lighter. But you could drive that thing all day and never think about it. The gas gauge hardly moved, and you said, "Wow!" So let me borrow that when I got to go pick up some parts.
Exactly. Right. They were the parts chaser. You got to go do a road call, do a jump start, something like that. They were the thing, but now, they kind of dried up and went away. Right. But it makes sense.
If you look at the, the mid-sized trucks today, which are the closest we're going to get to small trucks, but, take your, and we'll just stay in the GM family, take your Chevy Colorado and your GMC Canyon, and take the 3.6 V6 with the variable valve timing that they use in that truck. That's a 305, or I think it's 308 horsepower now, but still it's over 300 horsepower in a quote-unquote small truck. Mm-hmm. Now, back when I was growing up as a kid, my dad had an old Chevy Silverado in '87 with a 305 in it. That thing wasn't making 300 horsepower, and that was a much bigger truck.
185. Yeah.
So it's like, and you've got Ford. Ford is coming back with the Ranger, and they're slowly leaking out the details, and that'll be another. I mean, that the Ranger will be as powerful as what an F-150 was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so there's small trucks are really big trucks today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I got, as our Eye in the Sky just brought up, but what about the maintenance, though? People going to be able to keep up with the maintenance. I've heard a couple things about the EcoBoosts.
Joe, you might have seen this.
Neglected.
I've had this conversation with people. My own daughter, who drives a RAV4, I said, listen, remember when it's time for tires and brakes, you're in for a little bit of a sticker shock because it's essentially like a small truck platform. And I don't.
It is a truck.
And I don't know if a lot of people realize that. They just want the creature comforts and maybe they say the safety for the family, whatever the reasons. But the maintenance, it's going to be a little more expensive. Of course, the engine is the same engine, so that's really not.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what you find in like a Camry. Yeah.
But chassis, brake, suspension stuff.
Yeah, it's beefier. It's more complex, especially since it's all-wheel drive. Usually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think anybody like north of like Virginia doesn't buy one of those that's not all-wheel drive.
Right.
Yeah, because that's kind of half the fun of it that you get one of those.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, but
there was,
go ahead.
There was an article here a while back in the Detroit Free Press, and they have excellent automotive coverage. One of our contemporaries here in Detroit, covering the automotive industry, and they did an article here a few weeks ago that said basically the cost of these high-end luxury trucks is prohibitive, that after a while the fear is that where's that line of, yes, these trucks are nice, but nobody can afford them. That now they've just priced themselves out of the market, because they're tipping the scales at 65, 70. I mean, you can in a Ford right now, and granted, it's an F-450, so it's going to be a huge truck, but you can tip $100,000 MSRP on that truck.
Oh yeah,
if you load it up with everything. And But if that's where the heavy-duty trucks are, if HD trucks right now are pushing 70, 80 grand, it won't be long before the 1500 series trucks continue to do that. So the Detroit Free Press, their coverage was basically saying, look, at some point, nobody's going to be able to afford these trucks, and it's scary because they're still the biggest sellers. They're still what drives the most money into these manufacturers.
Well, the thing I'd like to know too, Carl, is what's the ratio between ownership and leasing? Because it seems everybody's leasing everything. So give it a few years and get rid of it, and when the maintenance cycle is just kicking in, time to go.
Yeah,
right. And that's the thing. I mean, it used to be like back when I was selling cars, and we had a luxury store, and we used to always say about, the BMWs and Mercedes that were 6-7 years old, we'd say, if you're going to buy that pre-owned, make sure you have a warranty with it. Well, I would give the same advice for trucks today. Some of these high-end trucks with all this navigation and all these electronics in them, I mean, they're at that point where, once you're out of warranty and something happens, well, it's like you said, Ray, there's going to be a sticker shock. And then you combine that with the fact that the factory or Detroit or the manufacturer, there's always that trend, because I used to be on the dealer side, and I was like, me and our technicians, we're like, how can we keep up with all this? The rate of change is incredible.
Mm-hmm. They just keep rolling new stuff in there, new tooling, new techniques. What you learned, say, 3-4 years ago, we don't do that no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, pretty much you talk to and this has been for a while now, you talk to a guy in a dealer about, say, a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, car of that company, and it's a dinosaur. Yeah, maybe there's a guy that remembers them, one of the older guys.
Right.
Well, the guy says, I was in high school then.
Yeah, right,
So
exactly.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so, as far as keeping up with it, the dealers aren't going to keep up with it. But you know what? I think the public wants content in these vehicles. They want their touch screen, they want the navigation, they want the friggin' microwave in the glove compartment.
I saw a piece on the local news station here yesterday which frightened the heck out of me. They were talking about distracted drivers, and they showed a picture of somebody holding a cell phone in the car, and they said, you'll never believe, and they didn't say what study it was, but they said, you'll never believe what we found was the number one distraction that people follow. And I'm thinking, texting, Facebook.
Texting,
No, people watching YouTube videos.
On how to drive, maybe.
While they're driving. Wow. I was like, oh, my God. Carl, I can't tell you how many times, now it's a hobby of mine. When I'm at an intersection or at a light, maybe it's a turning light, I watch that light, and then I wait, and sometimes I'm behind the guy. How long is it going to take before the cars move? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 3,000.
Right.
Now there's a horn beep. Because whoever's in the front, guy or woman, I've seen it both ways, is busy on the phone.
Yeah.
I look at it like, hey, if I'm the first online, I may check a text that I had because I know I have a red light.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But I know I'm the guardian of the gate at that point. It's like, check it, get it down, watch that light.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, because that's the only shot. You got, even... because otherwise you have to pull over and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, people using the phone for entertainment, or whatever. Texting is bad enough. You know what I mean? But, like, you should be looking at the...
I want to start a campaign that if you're going to check anything, you better be checking automoblog.net and get your latest car information.
Your car information from there, and then, maybe you could peruse the newer cars, because when you got to crack that one up that you're in. I actually seen a guy one time that pulled up at a light, and he was busy. I guess it was texting or something like that. And he took inordinately long to move.
Yeah.
And once he did start moving, the guy, I was 2 cars back, and the guy immediately behind me pulled around him. The offender had an open sunroof.
Oh, boy.
A water bottle with really good aim went right through the sunroof. That was good.
Wow.
I was kind of hoping for the road rage. You see, now, I should have taken a YouTube video of the ensuing thing, but I was too busy driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
Exactly.
Right.
But, that guy got what he deserved as far as I'm concerned, but...
Right. Oh, boy.
Because you got to watch. You got some good stuff on here. I also see that you have are replica wheels as safe as OEM wheels.
Yeah. Question we get asked all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, because let's face it, the factory wheels are like stupid money.
Mm-hmm.
And forget about when you start talking about the high-end European stuff. Heck, the high-end anything stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's Can you give us a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, what we